What if our greatest adversary is not an external force but an internal one? What if it's not a villain but a misunderstood ally? Today we delve into the depths of the human psyche and explore a concept that has often been misunderstood and vilified: the ego. In the realm of spirituality, the ego is often painted as the antagonist, the stubborn barrier standing between us and our quest for enlightenment. It's seen as a disruptive force, a source of illusion and delusion, encouraging us to cling to our individuality, obscuring the truth of our interconnectedness. The ego, we're told, is the reason we suffer, the reason we feel separate, disconnected, and alone. This perspective has led many spiritual seekers on a crusade against their own ego, treating it as an enemy to be defeated, an obstacle to be eliminated. But what if this view is incomplete? What if, by focusing solely on its disruptive tendencies, we are missing a broader, more nuanced understanding of the ego? Let's consider an allegory. Imagine you're a sailor navigating the vast ocean. The ego is not the tempest that threatens to capsize your boat. Rather, it's the compass and the rudder. It helps you navigate, make decisions, and maintain a coherent sense of identity amidst the turbulent seas of life. Yes, it can be rigid and inflexible at times, but its primary intent is to protect us, to shield our emotional wounds from further harm. But like a compass, the ego is only a tool. It's not the journey itself nor the destination. It's part of us, but it's not the entirety of who we are. It's a single thread in the intricate tapestry of our being, interwoven with our spirit, our heart, our mind. In this light, the ego is not an adversary to be conquered, but a part of ourselves to be understood, integrated, even appreciated. It's a part of our humanity, and there's no shame in that. It's time we stop waging war against ourselves and instead embark on a journey of understanding. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if the ego, far from being a foe, is a friend waiting to be understood? In the following scenes, we'll explore this possibility and how it might change our approach to spirituality and personal growth. The ego is not a random glitch in our system. It has evolved for a purpose. Like a ship's captain, the ego is at the helm of our consciousness, navigating us through the vast ocean of existence. It's the compass, the wheel, and the map, guiding us on our journey. Picture the ego as the captain of a ship. The ship represents our physical body and material existence, while the ocean stands for the world around us. The captain's role is crucial. He has to make executive decisions based on the information he receives from his crew and the conditions he observes in the environment. In our lives, the ego similarly makes decisions, big and small, that steer the course of our day-to-day existence. Just as the captain maintains a coherent sense of identity for the ship and its crew, the ego shapes our self-perception. It crafts the narrative of our personal story, integrating experiences and memories into a cohesive sense of I. It tells us who we are, where we come from, and where we're heading. This sense of self is essential. It allows us to interact with the world and other individuals coherently and consistently. Navigating the material world is another major function of the ego, akin to the captain steering the ship through the ocean. The ego helps us navigate social norms, cultural expectations, and practical demands of life. It allows us to function in the world, to build relationships, to pursue careers, and to achieve our goals. But the captain's job doesn't end at steering the ship. He also protects his crew from threats and dangers. Similarly, the ego safeguards our emotional vulnerabilities. It erects defenses around our emotional wounds, often originating from childhood traumas or past hurts. It shields us from the pain of these wounds being reopened and from the fear of future hurt. So the ego isn't the enemy, it's the captain of our ship, guiding us through the stormy seas of life. It's evolved to serve these vital functions. The key lies not in banishing the captain, but in understanding him, in recognizing his wisdom, and in learning to work with him for a smoother, more enlightened voyage. The ego isn't rigid by choice, it's driven by anxieties buried deep within us. Let's think of the ego as a protective shell, formed in response to life's trials and tribulations. It is not a villain, rather a guardian, a knight in shining armor, if you will. Its rigidity is a manifestation of its commitment to protect us from emotional harm. This shell is shaped by our fears and anxieties. These fears might spring from past experiences, from the fear of rejection, to the fear of failure, to the fear of being unworthy. The ego, in its steadfast resolve, erects walls to shield us from these deep-seated anxieties. However, when we approach the ego with compassion and understanding rather than judgment, we begin to recognize its protective function over our emotional wounds. Like a caring parent, it seeks to protect us from the stinging pain of emotional wounds. It's not a wall to be broken down, but rather a window to be peered through, a window into the deepest recesses of our anxieties. Imagine a castle with high walls and a moat. The walls are not there to imprison the inhabitants, but to protect them from external threats. Similarly, our ego is not a prison, but a sanctuary. It is not an obstacle, but a guide, a loyal friend on our spiritual journey. Through compassionate understanding, we begin to see the ego not as a wall, but as a window into our deepest anxieties. So, how do we navigate this path of understanding and integrating our ego? This question invites us into a transformative journey that begins with befriending our fears. Imagine, if you will, a child who is afraid of the dark. Instead of dismissing the fear, we turn on a soft light, acknowledging the fear while gently showing that the darkness holds no threat. In the same way, by acknowledging and embracing our fears, we allow them to become teachers, guiding us towards deeper understanding. Next, we practice observing our thoughts non-judgmentally. This is akin to watching clouds pass across the sky. We don't criticize the clouds for their shape or speed, we simply observe them. In this observation, we create space for our thoughts, allowing them to exist without defining us. We then expand our identity beyond the ego through meditation. Picture a wave realizing it's not separate, but part of the vast ocean. In meditation, we experience this sense of oneness, recognizing that while our ego serves a purpose, it is not the totality of our being. And let's be clear, the goal isn't to destroy the ego, but to maintain a healthy balance. A tree, for example, needs both roots to ground and branches to reach towards the sky. Similarly, we need the ego to navigate the material world while also peeling back its limited perspectives to reveal our connection to universal consciousness. And so we discover that with care and wisdom, even our contractions reveal portals to expansion if held in unconditional love.